It's really painful to understand once you expect from someone that is to trust God will ever provide you. One honest reality expressly for what is named trust, for what is identity, to confidentially embrace what as most, one single reality expressly for what it means. You will be embraced for real care and real interest for your welfare, or you'll be as well fine through as life can keep you full. There are realities around so often sicknesses that never provides one real understanding toward as possibility and the vulnerability moment for wording as most needs from nothing to even have one instant of upright conscience and neither judgment to sustain. Once the reality is you will be just like one singular moment to word, nothing will matter and nothing will care unless you. For there will be a unique purpose that doesn't has no reliable understanding for what it means morals, or real understanding of real care, or what it will be justice toward. Once the reality expressly is only sickness and a fevered sense, for wording nothing will provide, no better and no essential fact which this is about to do. Once realities won't ever need not any other but just showing itself for what is what, who is whom. We have been through years about this, and years to word, and years became, and years fact, and years suffered. Essentials for what demands, exceptional for one loss, essentials for genocides, essentials for inappropriations, essentials for misappropriations, essentials for genocides. And a glory of abominables delivering has the unique essential reality because of there will be someone to raise them up and provide them for they to us, and I will be the beast. Now, one singular reality expressly for what this abominable freaks still continue on disfigurating, on destroying what the legitimate and what it means genuine, and reality expressly for they will just putting them orders which will be the unique at the essentials for any demon can do, and not any other can be but the demons. So naturally, once the normal understanding for wording what it is, we can be nothing. Everything can be just a joke. And worst of all, we could mean to be who we are at the essentials of the worst of the destructions and devastations, to find out ourselves being nobody but just a ghost of a doubt. Other reference if we will ever have rights to be who we are even, or having a normal existence form. So at the normal understanding about the sickness of land, Argentina, diablada, maldita, repugnante y aborrecible por toda la eternidad. We cannot do nothing but victims embrace and victims sensely to keep in cordura upright, conscience, and apneastis capacities. So at the reality of this, once we introduce the whole of the essentials for history and what history gives and provides, and we found ourselves in a very non-caring, that clear how possibly, we need to give in a very understanding for wording farthest and deepest, and what is it beyond, and farther than other. So this is happening for a reason. And the reason which this is happening is because of there is one that presumes to give in a fine way for supposed mercy, and mercy is simply abominations. And the reality cannot give not any other. and must be over. Now, at the point of what this is introduced at our days, and once we still cannot even think at normal, probable, unnaming point for wording what it means. What is it, the worth? What is it, the justice? What is it, the care? What about love? What about senses on the care and being who we exist? Everything seems like a very nasty, deep, and never talk. For no one can respond except if you can keep yourself at the reality of who you exist. And even though the best ever try is exactly the laughter of the one that acquired what will never have to ever having at all, to providing the worst of the whole of the nightmares, which the reality expressly for the trust point and the reality for what trustably can mean love is only one crave for the whole that doesn't respond to the fever of its arrogant, sick reality of point of the senses of its, and not what should be. Nothing at all consoles, except if we can embrace ourselves at the point of what it means, find out ourselves, to understanding what is about we as real, shown as reality, not what I conceive to gotta be, but exactly what it is found, which reality understoodly gives and provides one essential point. Understanding where is you and where ain't found. You yourselves, your real action, your real point, your real foundation, your real life. And understanding what it means to you and what it never had to happen, what no one had rights to put in, like if there will be one non-announced point ni red pascal no mut rucht get a sweat. Like Argentina and Evangelistas permanently does in its friend. Sodoma, Babylonia, and all abominations, victims apart. So at the point of this days and the reality of what we still are through, one unique point to simply remain. If everything is exactly at the understanding, we will be just one simple expression of we think we are. Considered about to being worth and being someone that really cares. And the one that provides the supposed point for that to exist devastates our days until the breath of a ghost of one grave minam revishoet. And the greed of the whole of the abominables takes party up on our blood. We cannot really ask no more. It's just simply nothing has senses and we don't have rights. We only live because of there is a joke of someone that gets around. Say to that. Now, the reality for this. Once the essential point of what essentially this means we to exist as the persons we are is the simplicity of non-resilingly resent or keeping one distortion or one intimate point of ourselves at the reality expressly of what it means, sensely, where am I who I am? So the point of this, it will be, don't you ever accept a lie. Don't you accept a disfiguration, but recognize the real face. Recognize the real existence. And it's not that easy, but not impossible either. We should ever have senses about everything. We should ever be about what it means, the days of our breaths. And why do we have breath to take and breathe to exhale? Why do ever have walk to through and feet to walking through? Why do we have hands to make something with the reality as senses which the normal existence for, and what the hand are about. So at the point of the soul, anything can be vainly, refutably dismissible, because of nothing has senses about the reality to give, because of the one that swore and promised to be around never did, or the absence of the real diligency to care never existed around. The point is, where is that one who is it, or how possibly? The reality expressly for this, from promises and about promises. Once a promise and once an effort for, you found embracedly living through. And the days becomes on the you still exist and you really matter. But once a promise is an empty vacuity emanating from the whole of the allegorical sicknesses about there will be just one singular point over what it means. You must show, and the show becomes like you will die, because of it will be rather, for there is other interest but the having one normal understanding about the effort for morals, justice orders, and real senses of it. And comes the sickness around the lyring in the figure of the whole of the insemination zone, whatever boners comes for powers, and saying that the worth, because of one, at the understanding the reality expressly as we do and exist, will be nothing but one brief from one singular abominable freak to distorting whatever essentials to taking crowns, powers, positions, richness, glory, fame, prestiges, from which we have at the existence we are. And that is given for proceeding. You don't found senses. And ain't no tested. Is a perverse, sick way to destroying for the pleasure about trying to making certain allegorical fights toward the doesn't mean powers, but what will be the position to take once everything has a place in existence pre-given to exist, which is unaltered, is unadulterated, and is unrefutable except the one that provided to make an attempt. Doesn't give or provides any other senses but the sickness, this disgusting land, and the cotton world of them, can't even in a simple way for a massive boner toward whatever that to introduce one bleeding slaughtery for they to feel satisfied, which never fulfills. And the one that bloats chaps for the making business from it and taking the position for wording what the boners can elaborately provide and saying that they domains because of they will be strongest or worthful. So the reality of this one simple conscience to take. If you don't understand what is the essential of life, you keep life and don't you ever give spaces to any other. Once you recognize, embrace what you've recognized. Don't you ever accept or give access to no one that you are not sure that happened, and previously preserve what ambient and reality to life preserve and life to keep and sustain previous to giving access to the ones that you know possibly potential disaster and abominable genocides can really give in to the places we are not willing to lose. And much farther and less than any other, the ones that we know are real worth and real understanding for life, given to rights exist with. So at the point of what this disgusting abominable freak of a land, and the embodies, and the associated and sustainer, we cannot give space. And the reality of this whole senses is you can be mercy, but watch for the one that needs it. Not for the sickness that devastates. And devastates at the point that no breath comes, for no senses of life. And these perras enfermas learning that also my words are them, for they do continue on trying to introduce themselves where they are going to do what I'm saying, if they can. So what the reality of this, and I'm sorry my terms, this is exactly finished. Keep the normal judgment. Sustain the upright truth and the judgment within saved conscience toward this is serious. And we cannot keep the possibility understanding also how they continues and proceeds and what they does and how they continues on disfigurating also the judgment of anyone that has the right to life, keep, and live. Like Argentina and evangelicals permanently does, like the machinery of freaks of the whole abominations, because of aren't any other. And toward what senses about that this means and matters, don't waste no thought. Just sharp the reality and reality to keep at the hand once you never dropped it and never letting go what it means. Real sense. So at the point of what this perros enfermos, and still with the same, this is finished. But no one should dare to continue on sustaining what this is not exactly. To keep spaces no matter, and nobody come to say mercy, because of demons are exactly the first essential of the reality where mercy must be understood, that must happen. And Argentina is the essential of the hell. So the mercy must happen where the real essential for what it means preserve real love and real care and morals for what as justice and statement of life to exist. And not Argentina, la abominación enferma de todos los tiempos, Sodoma, Babilonia, Lucifer. So the reality of this exists as a law. We fondate the actions toward that law to worth it and to have the right understanding which must happen. Not at the liking for whatever to maneuver for the shit to have spaces we don't give. Then you understand you are such a one that you can consider yourself one essential for the beginning of a real life-giving and worth it. So the reality of non-healing and non-disfigurating and non-devastating or destroying what must be kept and preserved must be understood from the top until the rest of the effort to worth what you meant to sustain and making future to build what it is. Otherwise, the nominal reality of this is, who cares? Do you worth any? What do you live for? I'm going to make my empire of abominations, and the abominations are going to be worth it upon you because of someone has better elementals media to making the whole of the no meaning for wording you to be just what is purpose for whatever sick freak. To having the best ever senses the word, what a season of the fever of the whole of the deepest ever so month, gelechop estiam. To simply bleed everybody for nothing else matters about who decides. Who can say that? So if they thirst and says that has the capacity for such a thing, you keep your conscience and save your judgment with them to understanding where is the real sense of all. Because of more than any other, as most sicknesses, and you see what it means, the real understanding came in for the whole we've been speaking before and previous, everything we said and we've done. If the essentials of your symptoms exist as with love, and love provides you what it means caring, what it means worrying, what it means anguish, for the welfare, for the goodness, for the ones you care for the ones you love, and you see these freaks making almost the same, but the absence of the senses is exactly what they can prevent from us, for they to thinking and delaring they can be with love. And senses on it. And you know that you suffer and you die once something happens to the ones you care for and you love. And you fight for they to be fine, and you fight for they to conquer one singular reality, which is they matters to you. You understand that you cannot keep no spaces for that to be touched. And if that is the normal understanding toward your symptoms, you can understand your essentials is exactly you are a person that eats necessarily to be around, but sensibly not on corruption, not on healing, not on the sickness they've done to us, but the best understanding of meanless conscience, on uprightly, on upnumbling state for you to get sensed. We make not for civilized reality of existence. And if you give space to sickness, you will lose it. So at the symptoms of love, you care, you accept, you embrace, you fight, you sustain, you work for, and you preserve and you keep. That is your horizon, and the curse is you must understand there is no space for what kills it and destroys it, unless to declaring that they will be the whole we expressly exist. So nothing else is to discuss, and this is finished. We shall sense in the whole we really are. And there is nothing further to say. Today is Tuesday the 18th, 2018 on this December, and I am in a very complicated situation, but already solved it all. And one perro enfermo, there's the same because of the term is solving, will be the beast. And any associating term used for the sickness over what they exist as will be the reference of what them business. Power fights that never were haven for there to be. The places provided to the all existential person and reality has a place which cannot be disfigured or renewed, declaring that any other can be or any other can take it. Everything has an order. No power fights were haven to do. Everyone has a place and everything. And who doesn't accept it, got to understand what is it to accept. And the ones that are this class doesn't have to be not even one singular thought about one reason to take, about nothing else but watching they got exactly the sickness we don't need. And no one is going to change because of the normal understanding of what exists is exactly what already is. They has a will and they has a normal sense about what they do. And conscience, everyone with the whole upright. Why would you miss it toward what they wants to do to us and does to us? Why would you trap the reality of you and the ones you care for and the ones that has rights, as even if you have one singular character of what means not for responsible, but the real character of you are in the sense that you have a position to care and to put in orders about. Why will you trap it? This is enough. We got finished and not being finished.